What's up, YouTube? This is your boy Alex. Today is Thursday. I go back to work. So that means I work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So the next 5 days, I'm going to be working without a day off. And the next time I get a day off, it's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, I did say that you're not going to get too many YouTube videos prior to spring break. So, you're not going to get too many videos leading to spring break because I got to go to driving school. And once I go to driving school, you're not going to be getting too many videos. You're going to be getting videos less and less and less. And as you get them less, it's because I got to go to driving school. Now, this video is a very new concept video. This one I have not talked about. This one I have not emphasized. And that is, it's going to be called Sex Game, Social Intelligence versus Social Bullies. Yes, you heard me loud and clear. I said sex game, social intelligence versus social bullies. Now, a lot of you are probably asking yourself, what the hell is a social bully? Now, I'm going to give you the definition, and then I'm going to break down the math and science on what's the difference between a person who has social awareness, that's what the word social intelligence means, and what's the difference between somebody who is a social bully. Now, a social bully is someone who likes to take an advantage of someone who is socially awkward, who does not know how to talk to women. He doesn't know his surroundings, and he doesn't know anything about what's popular in pop culture. And a man or a woman can be bullied. A social bully can be anyone. It could be a man, it could be a woman, young or old, black or white. Doesn't matter what the sex is or color is. Anyone can be a social bully. They look for easy targets, or as the hood would say, an easy mark. A person with social intelligence is a person who has understanding. They understand everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And they see not one perspective, they see 4 or 5 different alternatives of a perspective. A social bully only sees one perspective, himself or herself. They don't see 2 or 3 or 4 alternatives. They just see one alternative, themselves. Now, this video is made for people that are from the age of 18 to 30. And I decided to extend the age limit from age 18 to age 35. Because you got some guys that are in their teens, and their 20s, and their 30s, or mid to late 30s, who have a hard time learning how to talk socially. Now, social intelligence is something you're supposed to learn when you're in high school and college. So when you get into the real world, like when you get a job at the bank, or you get a job at the post office, or you're FedEx or UPS, or you're a mailman, you know how to talk socially. See, intelligence is math, English, history, science, and health. That's intelligence. Social intelligence is like a combination of a lot of things. Social intelligence can be virtually anything. It could be television and film. It could be sports, it could be music, it could be politics, it could be sex and dating, it could be life situations. That's what social intelligence is. And it also is the ability to learn how to carry a strong conversation. Now, here's where the problem comes in sex and dating for men. And it doesn't matter if you're a black man, a white man, or a Mexican man. Here's where the problem comes in 80% of the time. A lot of us don't learn social intelligence when we're in high school and college because we spend all our time and energy learning how to talk intelligently because we're so used to our parents and grandparents telling us intelligence. But you're also supposed to learn social intelligence, learn how to carry conversations. I'll give you a good prime example of someone being socially awkward and not realizing they're at a disadvantage. Everybody knows who the rapper Lil Wayne is, right? Now, you could probably have a group of 6 people, 6 or 7 or 8 people, and they could be talking for about 2 hours, and everyone is giving out their good or bad opinion about Lil Wayne and Drake, and right in the middle of the conversation, you get singled out because you're quiet, you're reserved, you're shy, you're not interested in hearing the conversation of Lil Wayne and Drake because you don't care for it, and you got like at least 7 or 8 people who are talking for 2 hours, and one person decides to be a social bully. They start to point you out and say that person's been quiet for the past 2 hours, or he's been quiet for the past 3 hours, and that person ain't give us their input on what they think about Lil Wayne and Drake in a good way or in a bad way. So what happens to that person is they get singled out and targeted by a social bully because that person doesn't want to talk about hip hop or rap music. So now that person has to open their mouth and start talking just to get a social bully to leave them alone because they're just not interested in the subject matter. You know, they were fine until they got singled out. That's a form of being a social bully. You're targeting someone because they're not interested in Lil Wayne or Drake and they don't care for the subject matter. So they think you're different. You give off this energy that I'm better than you or I'm different than you. And that intimidates the social bully. So now the social bully wants to get you for thinking you're better than everyone else when you just want to be quiet and reserved and you're just not interested. This type of environment or situation, it takes place in the environments where you're in high school, college, or at work. Now, that's a social bully. Now, when a person with social intelligence single you out, it isn't to bully you, it's to bring attention to the problem, to address the problem, to explain that at some point you have to at least participate in the conversation so everyone can feel like, okay, this guy can carry a conversation. He can't do it all the time, but he can do it when the occasion calls for it. That's the difference. Now, let's get into where the problems come in for guys. Now, the same way you talk to your best friend, your homeboy, it's not the same way you talk to women. Like when you want to take women out to lunch and dinner or when you approach women, there is a different way of communication. Like, picture this. You have a car. You're being pulled over by the police because you were driving 70 or 80 miles per hour and the speed limit is like 60 miles per hour, but you're driving 70 or 80. The cop is going to communicate to you that you're not following the directions of the road. You're driving faster than the speed limit suggests. And is trying to see your license and registration because the cop is going to decide at that very moment, do I let you off with a warning or do I send you to traffic school and send you to court? If you argue with the police officer in a form of communication, you run the risk of not only being arrested, but now you got to appear in court and pay the fine. Now your problem gets worse because you're talking to a judge, and now the judge can decide at that very moment, do I want you to go to jail or do I want you to pay the fine? And depending on what type of answer you give the judge, that could factor in you going to jail if you smart off to a judge. And you don't want to get to that level because you don't want the cop to say, okay, now I'm going to have you deal with a judge. Like I tried to help you out. I tried to give you a warning. You wanted to talk back. All right, I'll give you a consequence. Now you have a consequence because you mouth off back to the cop. So now you find yourself dealing with a judge. Dealing with a judge is actually worse than dealing with the cop because at least the cop was trying to give you an opportunity to get out of the situation, but you mouthed off one too many times. I'm trying to explain to you what happens when you decide to get angry and upset when they're asking some questions and they want some direct answers. Well, there's a right way to talk to the police. There's a wrong way to talk to the police. There's a right way to talk to the judge. There's the wrong way to talk to the judge. Well, when it comes to women, there's a correct way and then there's a wrong way to talk to women. Most of us fail in the category of social intelligence because we find it to be ignorant and stupid. Like, why should I talk about Lil Wayne and Drake to show you that I'm a fun, interesting type of person. Like, why? And sometimes we miss the point. It ain't about Lil Wayne or Drake. It's about, can you carry the conversation or not? That's where we mess up at. So we do what a thing that they call on the internet overanalyzing, meaning you overanalyzed everything. You overanalyzed the point of the conversation. You overanalyze what the conversation consists of. And then you forget that's just one conversation. But then there could be a series of conversations. There could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 conversations before you know what the purpose of a conversation is. So that's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is we always assume that when we speak to a woman, it's always going to be about Lil Wayne and Drake. So we judge a book by its cover. That's problem number 2. Problem number 3 is when she finally decides to reveal the reason why she wanted a conversation to begin with, we get angry and upset because to us, if all that was you was gonna, if that's all it was gonna consist of, then you could have just found someone else. So that's problem number 3. Problem number 4 is we treat this like it's a video game. Like we see a video game and we think, okay, I can pass the first 4 stages and go to the final stage. You can't skip when it comes to social intelligence. Like if you try to go from starting a conversation to the best part, most women are gonna pick up on you doing it, and that's where you're gonna mess up at. Now, here's on how you can improve social intelligence, how to be sociable with women at school, at work, on the road, in general. You have to watch a person who's got good social skills. Someone that's got 10, 15, 20 years of experience in being sociable. And I'm not talking about going to nightclubs and bars. I'm talking about other places that have good form of social communication. Like the bank, right? That would be a prime example. Watch how a lot of the bank investors and the bank tellers communicate with one another. Didn't pay attention how they communicate with customers. That will teach you how to talk the proper way. Then you can ask them personal questions. What is the right way and the wrong way to talk to a customer at a bank? You take that concept, you practice that concept, you'll be good at talking at the bank. Another one is when you go on your cell phone for a Google app and you want Uber or Lyft. Here we go again. There's a form of communication, right? Order for the Uber driver or Lyft driver to get you to home or to work, you have to do some form of communication. And you have to do it because a lot of times they'll refuse service if they don't get the direct answers that they're looking for. And it's the same thing with women. Some women feel like they want a direct answer, and when we fail to give them that direct answer, that's when you hear stuff like, you're a nice guy, we're not compatible, it's just not going to work out between me and you, because she gave you at least 3 or 4 conversations, 3 or 4 chances to demonstrate to her social intelligence. And instead of trying to demonstrate it, most of us usually do what they call a thing called self-sabotage. Self-sabotage means I just want it to be over, so I'm going to keep messing up the opportunities until you leave me alone because I'm not interested in anything else. And this is how come most of us have trouble with women today. Pickup artists and dating coaches don't want to tell you this information because if they tell you this information, you won't buy their books and their DVDs. Now, when you show that you can carry a conversation, they get excited because they can see you can carry a conversation. Problem is you keep basing one female is every female, which brings us to problem number 5, which means you can't think that every female you meet is going to do the same thing. Now, there are some women that will do something similar, but not to the same thing. Now, did I explain ways to improve your social intelligence? Let me talk about why I bring up the age limit. Now, some guys don't learn this in high school and college because they never thought they had to learn it, or they didn't think it was that big of a deal. And when they find out it is a big of a deal and you have to learn, then they find it challenging because they want to know what's the whole point of being social intelligent if you're not going to get the phone number and you're not going to get to take them out to lunch and dinner. What is the whole point? The purpose is to learn how to be good at carrying conversations, because not me, not you, but the woman has this fear in her head that what if she says yes to lunch and dinner, and then she has her girlfriends from work or from school, and she is afraid that they might laugh and tease and make fun of her because you don't know how to carry a very good conversation. And then they'd be like, oh my God, that's the guy that took you out to lunch and dinner. That's the guy that asked you out to lunch and dinner. You know, there's that, oh my God, where the girl goes, I can't believe you said yes, and this guy is socially awkward. Or even worse, she say yes to you meeting her parents, and the parents be like, so this guy is socially awkward. This guy doesn't know how to carry a conversation. This guy don't have no clue. Well, because he never suspected it. So the girl's afraid that if she does give you a chance, the problem that you're going to have is trying to carry a conversation with parents. Then the parents be like, this guy's terrible. This guy doesn't know how to talk. He doesn't know how to carry a conversation. I asked him about who's better, the Lakers or the Clippers, and this guy can't tell me who's better, the Lakers or the Clippers. Now, of course, if it's a man, you might most definitely be able to impress the dad with sports. But if it's the mom or the grandmama, you probably might have to say, well, I got my own house or my own apartment or a car, to see if that, helps you in your favor. And most of the time, they're able to see through bullshit like a bottle of water. They're able to see through the bullshit. They'll know if you're lying or telling the truth if you just say anything to get them to leave you alone. That's not a good way to try to show that you're social intelligent. That's a nice way of showing you're not good at social intelligence. You're not good at being sociable. Another way to learn is to pay attention to how people communicate. Like, one of the good things about talking to older men, older women, is that they have years of experience when it comes to being sociable. Like, just watching two people talk will help you out. Like when you were in school, let's look at categorizing intelligence. If you look at when you get an A would be what? 100%, right? If you get a B, that's 80%. If you get a C, that's 70%. If you get a D, that's 60%. And if you don't even show up to take your exam in high school and college, you always hear the teacher in high school and college say, that's a big fat 0, right? So you should look at being sociable like you're getting a grade. The highest you can get is 100%. A lot of us fall between 60 to sometimes 70% of being sociable. So we try to show just enough so people can see, okay, he can talk, he can carry a conversation, now leave me alone. And then you got some guys that sometimes will show 75, 80, 85%. They're showing more than just enough. So that way they can say, okay, he can do more than just give me a conversation. Then you got guys who go a full 100%, because why? They want to leave that everlasting impression. Don't ever challenge me to anything. Like, you look at sports, right? Some of the best athletes are good at leaving everlasting impressions that nobody has to open their mouth and say anything. Every time somebody mentions Michael Jordan's name, he won 6 championships, 2 three-peats, undefeated in the NBA Finals. Nobody has to question Michael Jordan. Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest basketball players of all times. Nobody has to question Kobe Bryant because he won 5 championships. So sometimes you might have to learn by seeing how other people communicate to see what's the right way to communicate and what's the wrong way to communicate. Now, you're not going to learn this overnight. It's not going to happen in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It could take 3 months. It could take 6 months. It could take 2 years. It could take 5 years before you even understand what social intelligence is. So just because I'm giving you all the answers for free, that doesn't mean it's just going to click one day and then all of a sudden everything works. It's a work in progress. There's actually 4 stages to self-improvement. Well, there's 4 stages to being sociable. You know, high school is just one stage, college is just one stage, and then work. That's 3 stages. Stage 4 is where you try to figure out how to actually ask the girl out to lunch and dinner. That's actually stage 4 communication. That's the high advancement level. That's the level where me and you struggle at. Like, we're good in high school, we're good in college, we're good at work, but where me and you fuck up at is when we get to stage 4. There's 4 stages of learning how to be sociable, learning how to do social intelligence. Another way you can tell if someone is a social bully is if they say stuff like, I just want to see you stand up for yourself. That's how you know someone's a social bully. Because why would they suggest you learn how to stand up for yourself? Because there might come a time where they might get tired of you not standing up for yourself, and they might bully you socially, because to them they feel like that if you fight back, everything's fine. See, people have this notion that if you don't become sociable or if you don't talk, you must be an alien from outer space. There must be something wrong with you psychologically because you don't want to talk. The reason why some guys don't like talking social intelligent wise is because they might say something stupid or do something stupid, and that might cost them future opportunities in asking women out for lunch and dinner or for a cup of coffee. Like, you look at laughing, for an example, right? A lot of guys look at cartoons like The Simpsons, The King of the Hill, Family Guy, and a lot of times they might crack jokes that are inappropriate, and women don't find those jokes funny, and they're not inappropriate jokes, and the women might associate you laughing like you're some creep or weirdo. And women don't find that physically sexually attractive. And you might go, well, I just made 1 or 2 jokes to try to make myself comfortable to help open me up to start a conversation. So sometimes the jokes can turn against you and work against you, so now you got to be careful with the jokes, because then you can get a knock at the door and here comes the police just because you tried 2 or 3 jokes that are inappropriate. Then there's trying to copy someone from a movie or a television show. That doesn't always turn out very good either. Those are the no-nos of social intelligence. One of the yeses is learn from someone that has 10, 15, or 20 years of experience that can tell you the right form or the correct form of intelligence. I'm talking about being sociable. And when I say sociable, I'm not talking about just go to the nightclub and the bar and try to be sociable. I'm talking about you need a place to practice your communication skills. See, pickup artists and dating coaches tell you you need to practice talking your communication skills, but they don't tell you on what can help you improve. They just say, buy my books, buy my DVDs, problem solved. Books and DVDs ain't going to help solve your problem 100% of the time. So if you go 50%, some people might think you're using 50% of intelligence just to say, I can talk, now leave me alone. If you go 60, they might go, okay, he barely showing me something. You go 70%, you're showing just enough. But if I go 80% or 90%, okay, he's showing me more than what's required. But if a person goes 100%, you're way more than capable of striking up a conversation. And then to see if it's real or fake, a lot of men are going to test you. See, a lot of guys keep saying women test, women test. It ain't just women. You got some men that will test you. They will give you a series of 3 to 6 conversations, sometimes 7 to 8 conversations to see if it's real or fake. And then that guy, if he's got 10, 15, 20 years of experience, he might tell you, don't say that in a conversation, or don't say this, don't do that. Because he has the experience, and he probably done it in the past, and he probably found out there's a consequence. Because sometimes you might have a fear, so that's why some men don't like talking. because they're afraid they might say something or do something stupid, and then the girl won't talk to the guy for 6 months or a year or 2 years, and it actually does actually happen to the guy that is socially awkward because he's in a situation where he doesn't understand what does it take to get the girl to say yes. And sometimes this happened to me. It's happened to me like 5 times. So I'm trying to explain to you guys that's in your 20s, your early 30s, or your mid to late 30s. It's happened to me 5 times. And once you understand how to be sociable, once you know what to say, what not to say, what to do and what not to do, it gets easier. It's just like playing sports. You have to keep practicing until you get real good. It ain't like the movies and the TV shows where it's 6 weeks later, it's 12 weeks later, now you just know how to talk. That's not how it works. In the real world, it could be 3 months, 6 months, it could be 2 years, it could be 5 years. I'm trying to explain to you how this works. So this is just part 1 of the video. Part 2, we're going to break down what happens when you try to part 2, I'm going to explain how what happens if you have a learning disability and how people with learning disabilities get targeted because they don't look right or they don't talk right. So that's what part 2, but that's on spring break. Until next time, peace.